The needle is a sliver of stone driven into the heart of the sky. It is granite, ancient and unforgiving, its sheer face scoured by a wind that never ceases. No trees grow on its flanks, no game trails scour its base. It is a vertical desert of rock, and at its peak, like a malignant jewel in a crown of desolation, is the nest. Kel watches it from the concealment of the tree line below. He has watched it for a full turn of the moon. He knows the currents of the air around it, the way the rising sun first touches its highest point. He knows the hunting patterns of the thing that lives there. He sees it now, a circling speck against the vast, empty blue. Then it dives, and for a moment, it is no longer a speck but a shadow with a carrot and no USB-beaconed wingspan that could blanket a hut. The sun talon, a species of giant pterosaur, a living spear thrown from the sun. This is not a hunt for meat. The clan has food. Kale himself is a good hunter. His spear finds the flesh of the fleet-footed gallimimus. His traps ensnare the fat ground birds. But his contributions are small, quiet. He is not Beowar the chief, whose necklace of yellowed talons, cracked and ancient, speaks of a grandfather who slew a sun talon on the ground, a fluke of luck that has become the foundation of his bloodline's authority. He is not Orokean, whose booming laugh and mighty shoulders bring down the stubborn protoceratops. When Kale brings his kills to the fire, the clan eats, but their eyes do not follow him with awe. He is useful, but he is not essential. He is a stone in the wall, not the pillar that holds up the roof. He feels the weight of this insignificance. It is a hunger that meat cannot fill. And so he has decided on this path. The path of the sky. The path of the sky. The clan thinks the needle is unclimbable, a sacred pillar belonging only to the sun talon. To them, the sky is another world, a place of gods and monsters, not a place for man. But Kale has studied the rock. He has seen the cracks, the small ledges, the lines of possibility that are invisible to the uninitiated. His life is the heft of a river cobble, the sharp edge of a freshly napped flint. His lithic technology is an extension of his own hands. He knows that stone can be a tool, a weapon, or a home. He believes it can also be a ladder. This is a brutal calculus of risk versus reward, the cold mathematics of prehistoric life. The risk is absolute: one slip, one loose handhold, one gust of wind, and he will be a smear of red on the rocks below. The reward is intangible, yet more valuable than a mountain of meat: status, the talons of a sun talon, taken not by chance, but by an act of will from the beast's own lair. It is a story that would be told for 1,000 generations. He has prepared. Leather straps bind to sharpened hand axes to his wrists, their flint heads serving as climbing picks. A coil of woven vine is slung over his shoulder. A small pouch holds a few strips of dried meat. It is everything and nothing against the sheer face of the needle. He places a hand on the cold stone at its base. It feels like touching a god's tooth. Then, finding his first handhold, he begins to climb. The world shrinks to the space of a single breath. There is only the rough texture of granite under his bleeding fingertips and the screaming protest of the muscles in his back and shoulders. The ground is a memory, a forgotten country 100 body lengths below. Gel clings to the rock face, a human insect on a tombstone. Every move is a calculation. He tests each handhold, tapping it with the flint head of his wrist axe, listening to the sound it makes. A solid thunk means life. A hollow tok means a potential fall into silence. These are the survival skills of the vertical world, an unforgiving school where the only lesson is to not make a mistake. The wind tries to peel him from the cliff, a constant, malicious pressure that whispers of the long drop. He finds a ledge, barely wide enough for his feet, and allows himself a moment to rest, his body pressed flat against the stone. He looks down. The forest his clan calls home is a patch of dark green fire. The river is a silver thread. He can see the smoke from their fire, a tiny, fragile plume rising into the immense sky. For a terrifying moment, vertigo threatens to unspool his mind. The cliff seems to tilt, to throw him outward into the void, focusing on the solidness of the rock against his cheek. He thinks of the faces around that fire. He sees Lyra, her quick hands weaving a basket, her gaze always seeming to settle on her ocean. This climb is not for them, not truly. It is not an act of altruism. It is a desperate attempt to reshape his own story, to force their eyes to see him not as Kale the Quiet Hunter, but as Kale the Quiet Hunter, but as Kale the Skywalker, the man who climbed a god's tooth and stole its fire, burning away the fear. The sun is a hammer, the rock bakes, and the sweat stings his eyes. His water skin is nearly empty. This vertical desert offers no shade, no respite. It is an environment from a harsher, older time, an echo of the raw geology of the Cretaceous period, designed to kill anything that cannot fly. He keeps climbing. The rhythm becomes a meditation, test, reach, pull. His world is reduced to a map of cracks and fissures. He passes a fossil embedded in the granite, the coiled shell of some long-dead sea creature. It is a reminder that even the rock itself was once alive and that all life eventually falls. He ignores it and keeps moving up. Hours bleed into one another. He is no longer climbing with strength, but with a stubborn refusal to die. His movements are slower, his muscles screaming with every pull. Then he smells it. Carried on the wind, a scent that does not belong in this clean, high world. It is the dry, acrid stench of a lair, a mix of old blood, guano, and a musky, reptilian odor. He looks up. The overhanging lip of the summit is close now, perhaps 50 feet away. The nest is there. He can hear a faint, high-pitched chirping, the sound of the young. He pulls himself over a small outcrop and sees it clearly now, a messy tangle of branches, bones, and dried hides dragged from some unfortunate kill, wedged into a shallow cave on the cliff face. And perched on the edge, its head cocked, is the mother. The sun Talon is watching him. The sun Talon's eye is a disc of polished obsidian. It fixes Kale with an unblinking, reptilian stare that holds no fear, only a cold, predatory assessment. This is its home, its fortress. It opens its keratin OUS speak and lets out a shriek that is not a challenge, but a command for him to cease existing. The sound is a physical blow, echoing off the rock, trying to vibrate him loose from his precarious perch. Ungainly chicks stumble over each other. Their own screeches are thin, weak echo of their mothers. Kale knows he is only moments before the pterosaur attacks. To hesitate now is to die. He does not try to climb higher. Instead, he begins to traverse sideways, using his wrist axes to find perches, moving with a desperate speed he did not know he possessed. His goal was a narrow fissure he spotted from below, a vertical crack that runs up the final section of rock, just to the side of the nest. It is too narrow for the sun Talon to follow, his only hope of a defensible position. The mother launches herself into the air. She is terrifyingly graceful. Leathery wings catch the updraft with a sound like tearing canvas, and she circles once, gaining height. Kale scrambles, his lungs burning. He wedges his body into the fissure, just as the sun Talon dives. The attack is a blow of shadow and screeching fury. Her talons, each one a black, curving scythe, strike the rock where he was a second before, sending chips of granite flying. He smells the dry, reptilian scent of her body as she sweeps past. She cannot get at him in the crack, but she is intelligent. She lunges back at the nest, her wings half fold, and begins to stab at the fissure with her long pointed beak. The beak is a spear, a battering ram. The blows jar his bones, each impact a near miss that threatens to impale his Amor shoulder. He can do nothing but huddle deeper, making himself as small as possible. Then he sees his chance. In her rage, the mother has turned her back on her young. He has the coil of woven vine. He reaches out a hand, not toward the messy edge of the nest. His fingers find a prize. A collection of talons from a previous brood, shed like teeth and woven into the nest structure, along with the fresh, discarded talons from a recent kill. He yanks, tearing a section of the nest free. With a desperate heave, he throws it out into the open air. A treasure trove of status tumble down into the abyss. The mother shrieks, a sound of confusion and fury, and for a fatal second, she turns from him to watch the falling prize. It is the only opening he will get. He lunges from the fissure, not up but down. He throws himself into the void, aiming for a ledge 10 feet below. He hits it, his body screaming in protest, the impact nearly breaking his legs. He doesn't stop. He begins the desperate, controlled fall that is his descent, leaving the enraged pterosaur and her now defenseless young behind. He returns to the clan not at sunset, but at dawn, a ghost of a man, bruised, bleeding, and empty-handed. But when they see the single, perfect talon clutched in his fist, one he managed to snatch for himself in the chaos, and the 1,000-yard stare of a Homo sapiens who has climbed but a god, they no longer see Kale, they see a legend. The climb changed the sky to clan forever. The single talon Kale brought back was not a trophy, it was a seed. It planted in their collective mind the audacious idea that nothing was sacred, that even the sky itself could be scaled and conquered by human will. The needle was no longer a god's tooth but a challenge, a map of possibilities. Others would try the climb in the generations that followed. Many would fail, their falls becoming cautionary tales woven into the clan's mythology. But some would succeed. The desire for status, that powerful, dangerous engine of human ambition, pushed them up the vertical desert, turning a reckless act into a tradition. They were mountaineers, pioneers of a new and terrifying frontier. This relentless drive to go higher, to risk everything for something intangible, for respect, for a story to be told around the fire. This is the strange, uniquely human courage that would eventually lead our species out of the valleys and, one distant day, to the moon itself. Hold a fossil in your hand and feel the weight of the climb. A story comes from the coast of a clan that has learned to hunt not on land, but in the deep dark water where monsters older than the dinosaurs still swim.